Bay. I've been on the coast here since 1975, off and on, traveling around, learning different stuff, different plants and different habitats as a hobby. And we've got an abundance here because of the water and the climate. We got a lot of wild plants here on the coast. That's one of the reasons I live here. That and an abundance of water. Every draw's got a creek in it, and can't live without salt, and the ocean's full of that, so we'll be making our own salt after a while. But one of the plants that I really like is cow parsnip. You can tell them by the big umbrella of flowers they get on the top of them, and then it dries out and it stays on there like that. And they have little paper-like seeds with a seed inside that paper shell, and these big palmated leaves there, so they're easy to spot. They're all up and down the creek. And what it says in this book, Common Edible and Useful Plants of the West, about cow parsnip, is the tender leaves and flower stalks are sweet, used by Indians for green food before flowers appear. The lower part of the plant was a salt substitute. Indians also cooked the roots like rutabaga. Early Spaniards made a medicine compounded from the roots for rheumatism. The pharmacopoeia says roots and leaves are acrid and irritant and classifies it as poisonous. But it's reputed for useful in expelling gas, for indigestion or dyspepsia. It says Indians inserted root pieces in tooth cavities to stop pain. For a sore throat, they mashed the root, soaked in water, and used infusion as a gargle or applied it as a poultice around the throat. And you can see it's got a good sized root on it compared to some plants, and it comes up pretty easy. So you get 10 or 20 of them, and they fed them to the stock, livestock. That's why it's called cow parsnip. But in a pinch, it's human parsnip too. And
so you boil the root?
Yeah, boil the root and mash it up and eat it like a pulp. This is dock here. Rumex crispus is the Latin name. These you generally turn brown and stay on them. It's all over Coos Bay on the sides of the road and stuff.
What's the common name?
Dock.
Dock. D-O-C-K?
This calls it curly dock here because of the wavy leaf, I guess. And I'll read to you what it says about that. But I know that the roots are used for curing anemia. And because my wife was taking that, but she was buying it, I think, at a health food store. And I said, well, I can find that stuff around here. She was at Bay Area Hospital. So I went down the road, down Sherman, and made a right and went down the hill there to that Chinese restaurant, where the T intersection is. I don't know if you know where it's at. And right there on the left-hand side of the road is a whole bunch of this stuff, just a big trail of it growing up alongside the road there. So it's everywhere. My very favoriteest right here is Prunella. It's called Heal All or Self Heal, and I can always find it by the dried flowers on the top. It looks like that. They get purple flowers on them, like little tiny orchids, but there's a bunch of them there. So I wish this one had some flowers on it, but it doesn't. And it's got other stuff mixed in here with it. But it's in the mint family. It's got a square stem. And over there, there's a whole bunch right along the edge of the trees, and it's only about that tall. We got this down by the river, and there's a bunch of it standing this tall, so it's all different sizes and stuff. But let me see if I can find something about this book here. I don't think it's in this. I had a bunch of stuff printed up. I have to dig it out of the car. It was on that table the other day.
Now, is there any look-alikes on any of these plants that we shouldn't eat?
I can't think of any. These are pretty distinctive leaves and flower heads and stuff like that. No, it's not in this book here either.
I can smell them.
Let's see what else. Stinging nettle. Urtica diuca, I know that's in here. We'll find the medicinal uses for that. Let's see. 53. Nettles, it says Urtica species, so there's a lot of them around, I guess. It says 6 western species, all covered with stinging hairs, have opposite 3-nerved, toothed leaves. But this writer, Pepys, in 1661 speaks of eating nettle porridge, also eaten in northern Persia. Scotch and Irish use the young leaves for greens. The French make 7 different dishes from the nettle tops. The stems have an excellent fiber used for fish lines and clothes. So I didn't know fish lines had a nettle, but it's also in there. Let's see. Trying to figure out if it's got a square stem or not. No, it doesn't. But so Indians used branches to strike affected parts by pains, and decoction of roots used to bathe rheumatic pains in joints. Sometimes pounded leaves rubbed on limbs produced a counter irritant. Hot poultices of the mashed leaves were used for rheumatism, and habitat everywhere around here. Miner's lettuce. There's 2 kinds of miner's lettuce. Now this was, I know for sure, I can tell by the way they spout from the base like that, and they got little spades on the end of their leaves, like ace of spades, and they grow out of a central cluster like that, and they're just, you can eat the roots, everything, just pull them out, wash the dirt off the roots, and eat the whole plant. It's really good for you. There's another kind of miner's lettuce, Mantia perfoliata, where the leaf or the stem perforates the leaf. It wraps completely around the stem, and the stem comes up through the leaf. So you think perforated leaf, that's why they call it perfoliata, perforated leaf. This stuff here we hadn't figured out what it was, but Sarah seems to think it's a, a salad herb. It looks like it to me, but it's, what's that?
So we have to look it up still.
Yeah, we have to look it up, but if anybody...
Let's have a volunteer step forward. How about you try some?
Taste test it.
And what else? We got some...
I was just joking.
No, just joking.
Thistle. That's good. You can peel the stems off of thistle. Let's see, I know they've got thistle in here too.
You posted about that one, didn't you?
Thimbleberry.
Surprised there's not a piece of myrtle wood on here for insect repellent.
Oh, we could do that too.
Yeah, crush the leaves up and rub them all over.
Nothing about thistle in this book either. One more book. But I know thistles, you can peel them and eat the pithy white core of the stem there. There's not much flavor to it, and that's the only part you can chew, but it puts something in your stomach if you're really hungry.
There's lots of that around. I've seen all over.
Salmonberry.
Thistle, yeah.
Yeah. And those two, those big leafy things. Yeah. Did I check it?
Yep, I know. And I'm gonna. Where's my bathing suit at, Daddy?
There's a. It talks about elderberry in here. That's in since that's blooming right now. It says elderberry seeds are poisonous when raw, but the fruit can be eaten and used in jellies. So you just wouldn't want to mash up the seeds when you're doing that too. But the blue is good to eat, but the red's apparently poisonous when raw. Anyway, what else can I think of here? Did we get? Oh, willow. The Indians. In fact, I saw a show the other day on National Geographic, Life Below Zero, where they lived way up there. They had willow that the moose live on during the winter time, but she was getting headaches, so she took some willow bark and mashed it up and boiled it, made a tea out of it. The genus name for willow is Salix, and that's where they get salicylic acid, which is what aspirin is. It's just chemically reproduced and refined. What else do we have down here?
Got that big bay laurel.
Oh, yeah. That's just good for cooking and firewood.
Which one?
It's not, oh, and it repels fleas. They say if you put that in your dog's bed, you know, into the blankets and stuff like that, it repels fleas.
And what's that called again?
Myrtle wood, bay laurel, Umbellinaria californica.
There you go.
Like those bay leaves you get for stews?
Yep.
You can use
Yeah,
these
right.
are-
They're
these are
real
strong.
fragrant.
All maple trees, which is what that is right there, Acer macrophyllum, big leaf maple, you can get syrup out of. And it's not as strong as the Acer saccharum, the sugar maple, but you can get it out here. There's plenty of them. That's the neat thing, you know. If you got 1,000 spigots, you're going to get plenty of sap to make the syrup out of. That's about.
Both that miner's lettuce and then the other one, they're both miner's lettuce.
This is not.
The one they don't know about
yeah,
yet.
this is one we don't know about yet. We're trying to figure out. I thought it looked like arugula, you know, that you buy in the store.
Right.
Because its leaf is shaped like that. And that's
Well, is there a taste test for any of these? I mean, if you stick a leaf in your mouth and it's bitter, you want to spit it out? Or?
No. These they're the kind that get cooked, you know, like say the stem of this, the inner stem of it, you know, you peel it and cook it. You use thicken stews and broths and stuff like that. This is in the mint family, but it has no smell or no taste. And the way I use it is just chew on the leaves, you know, for a sore throat, and it takes care of the sore throat. I can attest to that. Some salad leaves, potters and stuff like that, are going to taste a little bitter anyway, and that's supposed to be the thing now. But that tastes lemony. I bet it would be good in a salad. Anybody else?
I don't know what it is.
Know what it was, but
I know, I'll wait until I find out.
so, I'm sure it's okay.
It's got a nice taste to it.
Yeah, it does. It's got a lemony taste to it.
Yeah.
Cool. And
Really, try it.
the plantain in the front there.
Yeah, the plantain.
Lemony, like lemon balm.
The stems too.
Over there on the bench.
Oh.
Yes, plantain, yeah. But you had a bunch of uses for this stuff, didn't you?
Yeah, you can make tea out of it. It's for treat asthma and allergies. But also, if you get like a cut or a wound, you can take leaves and mash it up and put it on your wound, and it helps prevent infection and helps healing, and wrap the mash on there.
It's the leaf is the key to finding these. So they look kind of like nothing but that long stem, and then they all have that nice round leaf on the end.
There's two varieties of it. So
Yeah,
we couldn't find the narrow leaf kind.
This is the wide leaf, and there's some longer, thinner, narrow leaf stuff she was talking about. But I think they both have the same little green spikenard. Now that's it looks like edible stuff to me.
And the name of that is what?
Plantain.
Plantain?
Yeah, not like the banana plantain.
I've heard of that.
The
Yeah.
narrow leaf one has the stem of the flower. It grows up from the middle. It's like a tall stem, and then it has a puffy, seedy looking thing like that on top. I'm sure you guys all seen around playgrounds and stuff. Cracks.
It almost looks like spinach leaves. This wide
Kind
one.
of, yeah.
Yeah.
I think plantains in here. No.
So what books do you suggest people to look at and get?
I have dozens of them. Wherever if I can find them used at somebody's garage sale, I buy them. But the one that I've had for the longest ever since I was a kid, I think is my second edition, is Bradford Andrew's Guide to Edible Wild Plants. It has a quick all-in-color identifier of more than 100 edible wild foods. So all-in-color, 100 edible wild foods, right there by Bradford Andrew. And it says growing free in the United States and Canada. Yeah, it's got miner's lettuce in here too. And wild ginger. We thought we'd seen some wild ginger over there, but where's it? Yeah. I don't know.
Looks pretty close.
Yeah. What do you think?
Yeah, on the bottom there where it comes up. Yeah.
In the veins in the leaves. So there's
Yeah.
wild ginger growing around here too. I guess maybe at this time of the year, when Sarah dug some up, she said it doesn't have a smell to it like ginger, but I know the flowers, when the flowers it looks like ginger. And the flower's purple, but anyway, it's a little thin stem, but that's the leaf that's on it. We think this is borage, but I haven't been able to find it in any of my books, but I know I've seen it before in that purple flower. But this is more of an herb type thing as opposed to being a pot herb. Now these things, What I like about these is these are pot herbs. These are what you fill your bellies with when you're really hungry. Right there, trust me, when you haven't eaten in 3 days, that's a meal. Right there, that much, because your stomach is shriveled up.
On the building.
And the miner's lettuce. That's about it for all the plants we've collected.
Oh, the licorice fruit.
Oh, there's a fern that grows in the moss. I've only eaten it in maple trees, but Sarah was eating it out of the myrtlewood tree this morning. But oh, is it? Did you have one over here?
brought it.
Oh, well, where is
It's
it?
on the table. I think it's right there where the mossy part is, right there.
Oh,
Yeah,
there you
there
go.
it is.
Okay. The root tastes like licorice. It's all dirty now, but if anybody wants to take a bite of it.
Take a little bite of it.
That's what my mom
Delicious. It's really.
every time we go to
But
Silver
it
Falls.
tastes just like anise,
Yeah.
you know, or licorice, which they use to flavor licorice. But anyway, not again, not much of a pot herb. You know, it's something to flavor a salad or
just a
something
flavor.
with.
That's just a fern.
Yeah, it's just plain old
Only that
fern.
one type of One of the fern? Boy
But it only
Scout rock
grows in
thing
the
one.
yeah, well,
Grows on the
it's the moss and the tree that it grows on that makes it taste like licorice, because their ferns are almost parasitic, and so their roots go into the cambium layer of the bark, and it makes it taste like licorice.
Okay.
So,
But not.
They have it all over
Underneath
Silver
down.
Falls.
no,
get
no,
it.
no,
Only
no,
ones
yeah, just the ones in the trees, yeah, not the ones in the ground. They're the same ferns too. So that's the deal. Again, this dock is a medicinal herb. You use the roots to help cure anemia and other things in here, as it said.
And you could cook it up and eat it, the leaves.
Can you? I didn't know you could.
Well, you have,
Well-
read it for yourselves in the book. I have read about it.
It says something about it in here, but let's see.
I think you have to like boil it for a while, dump the water out, boil it again.
Got some toxin in it?
I think it does if you eat too much of it, but you can eat quite a bit of it for food.
And a good suggestion to everybody is if you try some of this stuff, just try a little bit to make sure you're not allergic
Right.
to any of it.
Now, Doc, this stuff here says edibility. Although in many parts of the U.S. and Canada, it is the foreign-born remembering from Europe and Asia the bitterish, lemon-like delectability of Doc, who seek out this wild spinach for their tables. It was relished by some of the Indian tribes and is still sought by our Eskimos, being prized for cooking, chopping, and mixing with blander greens, then storing in kegs and barrels in cold places and enjoying during the long winters. So there you go. I didn't know that. I just knew that the root was medicinal. And then, of course, it gives a description of the leaves and stuff like that, characterized by wave or curly edges. So this is real wavy. And when the seeds turn dry, they turn brown and get bigger and they're pretty. But that and then the tea for the willows. And that's it for the ones we found around here. So if there's any more, we'll...
And then pine needles and pine bark, you can, the inner pine bark, you can eat the inner
cambium layer,
white part.
That's beyond my field of experience. You know, I'm a plant guy, the easy stuff. Yeah,
The green stuff.
yeah, the